good one, son.
Last summer, my new dad took me on vacation. First, we went deep sea fishing.
Wow! I'm so proud of you, son.
And then we went on Thunder Shark. That was awesome! Let's go again! 3 times. I gotta say, it was pretty cool.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
Oh, not again.
This is my computer.
This is your computer. Let's go on the internet.
Let's go. Click it.
Yes.
Okay.
I cursor in between the R and the E. If I say dot, I want you to just push the period.
She's gonna love me all over again.
That's it. Jamaica, here you come.
Here we go.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. And I did it by myself. Feel smarter.
I fainted at the sight of blood. Me, a nurse? I had no idea that's what I do when I went to NCC. But NCC is not like other colleges.
NCC has a Student Success Center where counselors assist every student in creating a future.
I'm so happy. Nurse Robbins. I created that.
Be who you want to be. Create your future at NCC.
Hey, welcome back to NCC News, where real news takes a backseat to the memes because that is definitely a much more productive use in our time. I'm Andrew Sano.
And I'm Juan Willow.
Coming up on today's news, Blizzard delivers an incredibly half-assed apology for censorship. A cat turns MetLife Stadium into its own personal playground, and Paramount Pictures learns what happens when you give the customer what they actually want for a change, which is more than what I can say about Games Freak's Pokemon problem. Stay tuned for these messages.
2 weekends ago, CEO of game developer Blizzard Entertainment, J. Allen Brack, opened at BlizzCon 2019 delivering an empty non-apology regarding the suspension of their pro Hearthstone player Blitz Chung. Here, he vaguely alludes to their suspension of him and uses very vague phrasing to say they were sorry in as general a sense as possible, without ever directly referring to what they actually did or anything related to them lifting said suspension at all. This comes merely a few weeks after Blitz Chung was suspended by Blizzard from professional Hearthstone playing after donning a mask and stating his support of the Hong Kong human rights protest in a post-match stream, along with the suspension of the casters, who didn't even do anything other than simply be in the stream with him, in a move many consider a violation of freedom of speech and expression over fear of alienating their Chinese market, which admittedly is very profitable for them. Blizzard has yet to actually comment further about the situation or whether or not they'll be lifting Blitz Chung's suspension.
Damn, they must think we're as dumb as Deku from My Hero Academia if they expect us to buy that sorry excuse for an apology.
Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. Let's go.
Aren't you forgetting the next story?
Oh yeah, that's right. Moving on, tensions are rising as a Connecticut banker is accused of killing a hotel co-worker while on a trip to the Caribbean. Some guy from AC has the story. I don't know who that is.
Father accused of manslaughter after killing a hotel worker at a luxury resort in Anguilla is preparing to return back to the island to face local authorities. Monday, the magistrate will determine whether a jury will hear Scott Hapgood's case. The father of 3 recently delivered this emotional speech.
We are still in shock that a simple vacation that we looked forward to for so long turned into a nightmare.
In a recent letter to the U.S. State Department, senators on both sides of the aisle concerned about Hapgood's safety asked for the government to get involved.
I go back and forth to Anguilla in the face of significant dangers to make sure that the facts come out because the hard science shows what really happened.
The Connecticut banker claims that while on vacation with his family, a handyman, Kenny Mitchell, came into the family's hotel room saying he needed to fix a sink before pulling out a knife and trying to rob him. The two allegedly began to fight and Mitchell ended up dead. The coroner originally reported that Mitchell died from asphyxiation and blunt force trauma. But a new revised autopsy report obtained by the New York Times says that Mitchell likely died from a lethal dose of cocaine. Hapgood contends that he acted in self-defense. Hapgood was released and allowed to return back to the U.S. shortly after the incident, causing outrage among local residents, including Mitchell's family.
I just wish him good luck. It's one thing, I wish him good luck with his lights. Okay.
Well, that was interesting. We now turn our focus to the upcoming Pokemon games, which seems to know bounds when it comes to letting down their customers, as the game has come under fire once again. Recently, Pokemon Sword and Shield, the newest upcoming entries in the Pokemon franchise, have been facing more backlash than ever before, thanks to many of the title's elements being either leaked or data mined as the online prior to release. The controversy actually stems back in June, when the game producer Juichi Masuda reveals during a gameplay stream that the game should not be seeing every Pokemon return for the first time around, adding that will it just not to compensate for high quality animations, but also to help balance the series' competitive scene. However, it would be later come to light, thanks to these leaks, that Masuda and game developer Game Freak weren't being nearly as transparent as they were trying to come off as leaks revealed that nearby 2/3 of the Pokemon were cut, which was far more than what they implied to be as an insignificant amount. Along with this barely touching any of the Pokemon that dominated competitive. Additionally, many have pointed to the seemingly unchanged but still basic and lifeless animations that we've seen in previous entries, as well as the myriad of other issues plaguing the titles up until the release. Overall, fans have been picking up on the development of these games as being lazy, made, and lacking any real care or passion, which seems to contrast with the other first-party Nintendo series that have had clear passion and care put into the jumps to the next generation on Nintendo Switch, such as The Legend of Zelda. Keep going. With The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Super Mario Odyssey. I'm gonna say Jesus.
Super Mario Odyssey and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The game has been gotten bad enough that Game Freak lied up was trending on Twitter. Pokemon Sword and Shield both launched back on Friday. Get yourself together, mate.
I'm sorry. Jesus, what kind of a-holes write the longest script for on a children's game?
Probably Hunter. God, what a... You know what. Anyways, our next history might wake up some of the... You as a Black Cat turned MetLife Stadium into its own playpen just 2 weeks ago. Hunter has a story because, as usual, he has nothing better to do, and our budget's really tight. This is a car crash.
I know. I mean, why would he write something that large?
There's black on the screen.
A guest player crashed a Giants vs. Cowboys game on Monday, November 4th, as the Black Cats suddenly appeared on the field halfway through the second quarter. The game was stalled for a good 2 minutes as security were scratching their heads trying to figure out how to get him off the field. The Cat hung around on the goal line for a short while before dashing into the end zone with the crowd cheering crazily in tow. State troopers and security chased the Cat around the end zone to no avail for a little under a minute until the Cat got bored enough to run through the tunnel, exiting the field, bringing on the rest of the admittedly less entertaining game. MetLife Stadium tweeted the following Wednesday that they are still searching for the Black Cat, but they have said that they have set out multiple humane traps.
Well, I'm sure they hope they find the little guy soon. He was adorable. Our next story is not a stolen idea whatsoever, as a great white shark has been spotted and tagged in the Long Island Sound for the first time in a while. ABC's Lindsay Davis has the report.
An ominous alert has residents near the Long Island Sound rattled tonight as a great white shark is believed to be lurking just off the coast of Greenwich, Connecticut. The The shark tracking organization OSearch says this is the first time the organization has ever gotten a ping from a great white in the Long Island Sound. The researchers tagged the male shark off Nova Scotia last year with a digital monitor, which they're able to use to track its whereabouts. The shark has been on the move in recent months from Florida to Delaware. The organization announced the new location of the 9'8", 533-pound shark named Cabot with a tweet using the shark's handle. Hello, Greenwich. How are you today? New England states are concerned about shark activity going into the summer months after last summer's deadly shark attack on Cape Cod.
Have a report of an unknown shark bite male party.
The first fatality there in more than 80 years. Shark attacks in the Long Island Sound are extremely rare. The last time a person was attacked here was more than half a century ago.
Well, that shark sure better hope he doesn't cross paths with me.
Same here. Are you saying you'd fight a shark?
I'm saying I'd kick a shark, you know what, next time we bring our focus to a little lesson Game Freak should learn in pleasing their customers. We're all about giving customers a servicing. Last week, Paramount Pictures released a new trailer for the upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog film, featuring a new design for the titular blue blur. The follows several months without any new details about the film after the first trailer released back in April. The original trailer was very poorly received, mainly due to Sonic's disturbingly human-like appearance, with human teeth and exposed human hands, and overall being a drastic change in design compared to how the character is commonly portrayed in his games and other media. The trailer even gained 83,000 dislikes on YouTube before Paramount went as far as taking the video down. About a week afterwards, the studio announced that they would redesign Sonic's look to better resemble how he appeared in the games, but didn't show anything for 7 months outside of leaked designs from a month ago until Tuesday. The trailer and new design gained a much improved reception from viewers, sporting 753,000 likes, 15 million views, and was trending on YouTube for almost 3 straight days, because we have nothing else better to do. The film was really sent to release this month, but due to the time needed to redesign the character, it was delayed to February 14, 2020, Valentine's Day. How romantic.
Up next, we ask a student how he views Endgame half a year after its release. We gauge the hype of Episode 9, and I question every decision I made that led me here, all after the break.
All right. I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay. So who's going to do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
Do you...
Don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
Oh, hello there. I swear to God, with these, and I'm done with this shit tone. Recently, it has come to our attention that not nearly enough of the school is aware of the absolute masterpiece that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Frankly, I don't find it as a masterpiece. To spread the awareness, we go to our own, because why the hell wouldn't it be? Hunter Barnett. How is this a story?
Do you know what JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is? Boy, do I ever, dude. I could talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure all day long. To sum it up, it's this amazing action series that just follows the Joestar family bloodline, okay? So every single story is its own isolated, condensed story, where the star is a different member of the family. What do you like most about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure?
You know, there's just so much to go off of that I can't really fit it into a few single points. Every single aspect just knocks it out of the park. I already said before, the premise of the story itself is very interesting. You don't see it explored super duper often, but each different part is also just its own thematic style. Part 1 is just this like gothic horror story, while the next part is this Indiana Jones style ancient adventure shit. Part 3 is this journey across the world, going to different places and meeting different types of people. Part 4 is this murder mystery in a small town. Part 5 is a gangster mafioso story. Part 6 is a prison break.
Part 7's a race across America. Like, how do you come up with all these different premises, you know? And, oh my god, all the characters have explicitly fleshed out personalities that are very clear and very easy to understand what they're about, what their goals and aspirations are, and who they are as a person. The art style constantly changes to each part, and the manga artist Hiriko Araki is just godsend in his craft. And the music. For a show that sure loves its musical references, the music in itself is very good too. The character themes I personally listen to on a daily.
Wow, he sure seems to love that thing that exists. But next we talked to a fellow student regarding how he feels about Avengers Endgame after it released.
Initially, when I saw the movie, I thought it was the best movie ever, especially for the Marvel films.
So, now that the dust has settled, phrasing, have your thoughts really changed towards the film at all?
Come to think of it, a little bit, yes. I no longer see it as the best movie ever. I still think it's a great film, and it's definitely well done, but there's a lot wrong with it, looking back on it now. There's lots of plot holes and stuff that hasn't been explained in the film, and just quality. Like, of course, on first viewing, we all have our initial thoughts, but after seeing it multiple times, my opinion has definitely changed about it.
So, while we're on the topic, how would you say Endgame compares to something like, I don't know, Infinity War?
Well, in comparison to Infinity War, Endgame has a 3-act structure, but it isn't as well paced. There isn't nearly as much action, there's way too much build-up, characters are kind of all over the place, and some of the stuff, it just doesn't make sense. Infinity War, as much as there was going on, at least everything made sense, even if there were some plots that went in different directions.
What would you say towards those who disagree and still highly praise Endgame?
If you like the film, great. Props to you. I enjoyed it too. At the same time, that doesn't mean that I can't see that the film has problems either. That doesn't mean these problems can't be acknowledged. The best part about acknowledging them is that we can fix other movies down the line that may have these similar issues. I definitely enjoyed the film. I liked the characters. I thought it was one of the greatest films ever made, but I do not believe it is a flawless movie.
Wow. Just saying, we got this Master Ava Award for this beautiful project. It sure is nice to see an opinion that is completely growing praise. Up next, once again, we asked Hunter his opinion about something nobody talks about because the man, I'm sure, is fun being out of the loop. Brought to you by Ava.
What do you know about Blizzard's recent actions?
As somebody who follows this kind of stuff pretty frequently, I could tell you exactly what's going on here, okay? Blizzard runs a lot of the pro scenes for their games because they don't trust the community to run it themselves. They have a pro Hearthstone player named Blitzchung, okay? Blitzchung is a Chinese player. He hails from China. So it'd be pretty understandable that he sympathizes with the human rights movement going on over in Hong Kong, all the protests and riots and shit like that. So it's completely understandable that on a stream he decided to don the mask and, state his support. He's given his opinion. Blizzard really didn't take too kindly to that. In fact, they banned him for a year, withheld all his tournament money, so they were holding money they owed him, and were basically making it very clear that they don't want this kind of stuff being said without really saying that the very obvious fact that they have a lot of stock in China, so if they piss off China, it's not good for them. That's the only reason why.
Okay, he has to know some cringy sounds, right?
I got used to it. However, our next story shouldn't have a lot of people out of the loop as we gauge the hype for the next Star Wars movie. Yep, whoop-de-doo. Finally something I care about. Not really, no.
Skywalker comes out next month. Are you excited or what?
I love the third trailer. I thought that was well edited, and it was visually nice to look at. But given the track record of this new trilogy, I don't know how I feel about this new film. I want to like it. I want to be entertained by it. This is a Star Wars movie. At the same time, there is not a lot of substance to look forward to in this next movie. It's more or less the same thing.
You seem to be pretty passionate about this. Would you call yourself an avid Star Wars fan?
Yes, I'd say I'm a huge Star Wars fan. These movies have been around since my childhood. Episode 4, I love that one. Love Episode 5 and Episode 6. Original trilogy. Luke Skywalker was my favorite character. Still my childhood hero. Prequels were okay, not great, but they still told the story. New films, I don't know, they just ruined everybody just so they could get them out of the frame.
Care to explain why?
Because the new movies are anything but original. If anything, they did this simply so they could make money. They just take scenes and story plots from the original movies, throw them in with a bunch of other stuff, and then replay the scenes or reenact them with characters that we don't care about. Nobody has any character development. There's potential, but they don't fully go in on it. Rey has no character development. She gets everything handed down to her. Why am I supposed to care? That's the question you have to ask yourself every time you watch one of these movies.
At the end of the day, will you be seeing Star Wars Episode 9?
I really want to give the movie a chance. I don't think it's going to be great, but even if it is a disaster, I figure I could have a good laugh while I'm at it, so it'll be worthwhile.
When we return, we sit down with Hunter to see if there's at least a method to his madness, and we shine a spotlight on NCC Club and its founder. Brought to you by Ava.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams?
Here.
Michael Adams.
Michael Adams.
Students who miss 18 days of school in any grade risk falling behind and not graduating. Absences add up. Keep track at boostattendance.org today.
Crack, don't
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Man, I missed that commercial. Many might know about the students who pour hard work into these projects, but today we wanted to get to know a little more about one of us in something one might refer to as a documentary on a director. And of course, who better of a choice than, disappointingly, Hunter. Brought to you by Ava.
So, what made you to actually decide to do film and TV production as a major when there's so many options for what to study? Well, you see, it all started way back in my first year of college. And I went to a little school called Champlain College in Burlington, Vermont. And I didn't really have a lot of prospects for what I even wanted to do in school, so I kind of just went with what my parents wanted me to do, which was IT, AK, both of their fields. It really just didn't work out. I wasn't good at it. Somehow they took me back a second semester, and the second time around I thought, hey, maybe something that should be not too hard to pick up, so I thought marketing. Boy, was I wrong. Half-assed my way through the semester and shockingly, got kicked out again. So at that point, I need to pick something that I'm actually going to stick with this time and that I'm actually going to, have some sort of interest in. And the idea came from one of my close friends up at that school, David, because he was in their film and TV department. Why don't we talk about your experience across not just this class, but the first two as well. What I like most about the class, right off the bat, I found myself really enjoying editing the videos together. It's kind of something that just came to me. Filming, on the other hand, I don't particularly care for. It's a pretty grueling task. That being said, in terms of the class itself, the first one was paced pretty well. We got through the 4 projects. We had ample time to practice and go over new directors, so I was very comfortable with, going at my own pace and making sure it was up to standards. I didn't really feel super under pressure. I could just kind of go about it with the time I needed. The second one is where things sort of started to fall flat a little bit. In terms of TV3 so far, the class has been going pretty well. Haven't had too much of a problem getting through stuff. Do you see yourself doing this in the future, say, like, I don't know, 10 years? To be blunt, I don't see myself continuing the film and TV unless it would be under the right circumstances. As it stands, I plan on continuing this and trying to graduate with associates in it. But when it's time for me to go to my next school, I think I'm gonna go for something that that just comes naturally to me better. I already have a few ideas of what that might be. This choice was a little bit hard for me in the sense that, yes, I wanted to keep going with it, but at the same time, I don't want to stretch myself too thin. To cap things off, do you have anything you'd like to say to anybody who, might have some sort of thought about taking the class, or to anybody who just hasn't taken the class in general? I think if you have any remote interest in just film in general, it doesn't even have to be about filmmaking, check out the class. Even if you don't like what you do, you still get to learn a little bit more about it. You never know, you might actually find yourself enjoying what you do here. This stuff, if you have any sort of interest whatsoever, even if it's not a very high one, just check.
Jump cuts, Batman. Well, for someone who either interviewed themselves or was really good at cloning, that wasn't that bad. For our last scoop of the show, we got the opportunity to hear the story of one man's vision, how he made it happen. All this brought to you by Ava.
Hi, I am Burnout, or Max, and I run the Smash Club here at NCC. We started the Smash Club last year on December 8th, which is the day after the Smash Ultimate game released. Smash as a whole has always had a really big competitive scene, and we had a group of friends here, maybe 5 of us, that were paying attention. We all had a big passion for the game, and we would meet in the cafeteria every single day, and we would play wireless games with each other, just casual, maybe 5 of us in the same match, versus the competitive scene where typically you're doing a 1 versus 1 scenario. So one of us, his name is Jose, had a job in the student lounge, and he was able to facilitate us going into the lounge and then using the TV that they had in there to hook up the console that we use and then play actual matches versus each other in a little bit more of like a structured scene. So at that point, I had recently made a Discord server, which is basically like an organized group chat, and almost immediately we made a Smash discussion channel. And after a couple weeks' time, we were going to the lounge Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it was a group of maybe 5 or 6 of us. We were all on the Discord. We were all really into the game. It was a brand new game. There was a lot of excitement about it. It was a new installation in one of the biggest franchises ever, and we had interest. We had people who would walk by the lounge, and then they would walk in and be like, "Oh, Smash, I know that game," and then they would input their names into the system, and then they would play a couple rounds and be like, "Okay, I'll come back next week." And every single time that we hosted a tourney day, which would be 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on Tuesdays or Thursdays, we'd have like 5 new people every single time, and that number just kept building, and it got to a point where we were at 65 members, most of which went to NCC and would come by and play almost every week. We'd have probably 15 to 16 people every single time that we hosted. And that year ended, and when the fall semester rolled around for 2019, we just went on business as usual, and we had a whole influx of new members who had just enrolled at NCC and had just found out about the club or had known people who were in the club who had invited them, and we are up to 85 members now, and we have 17 people per session, but it's a really well facilitated and friendly place to be, where a bunch of us get to play a video game that we love with our friends that we see typically only in between classes, and a scheduled 2 to 4, just really great time. So When I was starting this was my second semester at NCC, and I had just recently gotten out of high school, which was an absolutely terrible experience for me. I grew up being the outcasted kid in the middle of a very copy and paste area of Connecticut. I was in Fairfield County. I grew up in Easton, which is, if you don't chase a ball, then you're shit out of luck, and that's just kind of how it was. So getting to NCC and having a much broader mix of characters was a big change for me and a positive change in my life. So I observed a lot of the kids who were interested in joining, and there was kind of like a reoccurring theme that you could tell that these kids had come from a similar situation. These kids were not the mainstream. They were their own people, and kudos to them for that. And one of the biggest reasons that I wanted to make this an organized club, and especially a server that they could talk to each other outside of the campus, was because I wanted a home for these people. I wanted a community of people who were like-minded and maybe didn't fit in with the norm. And I am super humbled that I was able to accomplish that with the help of a couple of my admin team. I have some people who have privileges in my server so that they can manage what's going on. When you have 85 people getting together, you need to kind of moderate it a little bit. And with their help and with everybody kind of just wanting to be a part of this really great community, I was able to craft this really safe space almost where we could all get together and play this game that we loved. There's always banter. One of our newest members here, Matt, just enrolled this semester, and he's already become a huge part of the group just due to his energy, which is awesome. That's what we want to see.
Damn, that makes me want to smash too. Thanks for tuning into NCC News. I'm Andrew Sano. And tune in for the next time for a biannual session of suffering.
Check out this chef, right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those pants.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
The next 30 seconds can save you.
Next time, more JoJo, another animal story, and our scriptwriter continues to think he's funny and self-aware. Spoilers, he's not. Have a good night. Sponsored by Dava. Please join the film club.